Hello everyone, welcome to the technical session 3B. So as we are from different time zones, I would like to greet you good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 5th International Conference on Smart Trends in Computing and Communications through Zoom on behalf of SmartCom 2021 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation. As every one of us is passing through uncertain circumstances due to COVID-19, we wish everyone and their families a protected time, and we all will together pass this soon. We are thankful to all the present on this platform to join us digitally for conference in these unpredictable times and make this conference more fruitful in terms of technical knowledge, and hope you will enjoy the 2 days like last day of the knowledgeful and interactive session. So further, I would like to introduce you all to the chair session, Dr. Vijay Singh Rathore. Welcome, sir. Dr. Vijay Singh Rathore. Sorry. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome. Okay. Yeah. Dr. Vijay Singh Rathore is a professor in Department of Computer Science and IT at IIS University, Jaipur. He has total 18 years of teaching experience, and areas of his interest include cloud computing, IoT, big data, internet security, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So thank you, sir, for being the chair of this session and letting me to have the chance to introduce your profile. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Before heading ahead, while the presentation is going on, I would like to request other participants to be muted, and the presenter will have 12 minutes, and on 10 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder. So now I would like to start with papers. Our first presenter is okay, K. Sujatha, but instead of K. Sujatha, Naveen will present the paper. Okay, Naveen, are you there?
Naveen is also not available, so you can just go ahead with the next presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay, now we have Preeti Shahane for her paper for performance efficient NOC router implementation on FPGA. Preeti?
Yeah.
Yes,
hello.
Now
yeah.
you can start.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Just a minute. So my screen is visible, sir?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Preeti Shahane. I'm faculty from Symbiosis Institute of Technology, Constitute of Symbiosis International Deemed University. I'm from Pune, India. Our research paper topic is performance efficient NOC router implementation on FPGA. So this is the outline for today's presentation. So basically, I would like to start with a concept of what is a system on chip, how this SoC is transferred to this network on chip paradigm, and what is the basic design constraint for this NOC based interconnect. So SoC is emerged as an integrated approach for many applications that needs extensive computation and storage requirement. SoC accommodates a large number of heterogeneous intellectual peripheral or IP modules. It improves the performance and processing capacity. Traditional way for communication between the devices is based on the bus-based communication. And for this bus-based communication, it requires a large network of wires if more number of devices are accommodated on this SoC. So this picture shows that if we go for the large number of the devices, so definitely we'll have a cluster of wires for connecting the various devices. Whatever the SoC problems, so these problems we can say that it may hamper the scalability of the system. It provides a communication bottleneck. It creates a physical design issues. There may be the long wire delays which can create the noise also in the system. There may be the design complexity, and it leads to an unpredictable performance. So there is a need to replace this bus-based architecture with a embedded switching network. So efficient communication among various IP modules in a large SoC, now it becomes a research area. And solution for such communication problem is the use of embedded switching network, which is nothing but it is called as a NOC. So thus NOC is a new paradigm which provides a solution for interconnections among the various IP modules in SoC. So NOC has approach as a scalable and suitable communication centric design approach to solving the interconnections problem in SoC. So for this NOC design, the concept, or we can say this Daly and Benini are the pioneer research for this NOC. So Daly and Towels, they emphasized on routing of the packets, not the wires. And NOC architecture, it is explained by Benini and Michelli. So if you see in this diagram, so NOC facilitates a modular design, providing a standard interface between the different module. So earlier it was a bus-based architecture, and now it is replaced with some modular design, and each modular design it's connected with each other through some standard interface. What are the features of NOC? So it will provide the separation between computation and communication. It supports for IP-based system. We can just plug the device, different IP devices we can plug in this case. It provides a layered and scalable architecture. It provides a support for clock synchronization. So it supports for GAL system. Network topology reduces the complexity of interconnections via, and it also support for system testing. Now I'll explain what is the NOC architecture. So for this NOC architecture, it consists of router, link, network adapter, and different nodes, or we can call it as a processing elements. So router is nothing but it is the it provides the communication path for different source and destination nodes. Link, it is a channel for the communication of the data packets. And network adapter, it performs the two operation. One is for protocol conversion, and the second one is for creating the data packets. These different nodes or IPs, these are the processing units, or you can say that it is a CPU, maybe custom IPs, or sometimes it may be the embedded memory devices. So the next one is that what is the design problems for the NOC based interconnect. So for efficient design of the NOC, we have to find out what is the scalability of the system, as well as how we can increase the performance and energy efficiency of the system. So for scalability, we can say that how large we can build the system, or how easily we can add the more devices in the system. Okay. For performance, it is like how fast a device can communicate with each other, and how much energy it is spent on the communication. So that is also important. So whenever we talk about efficient design of NOC, so it is nothing but it is the design of the router, and router is called as a, or it is a heart of the NOC architecture. So this is a typical architecture of NOC. So if you see in this diagram, it is having the different input blocks, which is having the buffers or virtual channel, we can say for that. It is having the scheduler, which can decide scheduling path for the particular packet, or it transfer, or it allows the grant signal for the particular packet from source to destination. And crossbar is nothing but it will connect actually your input port to the output port. So this is what the typical NOC router design. So for this typical NOC router design, we can say that buffers are the integral part of the existing NOC router. So all the NOC router for implementation of that, buffers are the integral part of that. Then we see that what is the NOC, what are the architectural parameters for NOC router design. So this NOC router design, it depends on topology, what type of the topology we are using for implementation. It's defined, it depends on the scheduler. Then how is the design of the input block, whether it is a buffers or bufferless. I'll explain this buffer and bufferless concept. Then how are the links, whether these are the hardwired or it is a software. What type of the routing algorithm, whether we are going for a deterministic routing algorithm or for the adaptive routing algorithm, and what are the different flow control like store and forward, virtual cut through, or wormhole routing that we will use for the data packet transfer. From the literature review, we have find out the research gap in the NOC domain, which are nothing but it is the optimization in the area is required. Then optimization in the latency is also required, and there are the various techniques are available, like we can go with the ASICs based or the FPGA based design. So I'll just explore all these problem in detail. So first problem is that optimization in area, or we can say that we can optimize the design complexity by designing this input block properly. So for this input block design, there are the two methods. We can design the input block with buffers, or there may be a design of the input block with the bufferless. So whenever the key idea, or we can say that the many or most of the NOC router, it uses buffers in the input block. This buffer, this improves the throughput, or we can say the performance in terms of the bandwidth as well as throughput, but it consumes a significant power as well as the area. So buffers in the router consume dynamic power whenever the read and write operation of the data packet will take place, and as well as it consumes the static power though your buffers are empty, and it occupies the more area of design. So few example of this buffers design of NOC router. These are the like Intel 80 core terascale chip and MIT raw chip is there. So from research, it is found that key buffer consumes more area as well as power. So that's why the next research is for bufferless NOC. No doubt bufferless NOC, definitely it will reduce the area, because now we don't require buffers in the input block. So energy also reduced as well as area. So Blaze and Cypher, these are the two best examples of this bufferless NOC. See, this bufferless NOC, it works whenever the whatever the network load is low. In that case, this will work or performance is best. But whenever the for high network load, we have to hop the data, and this may increase the latency of the design, because if the particular destination node is not available, in that case we have to route the data packets on the different node, and whenever the destination is available, then we want to come back to the whatever the proper destination. So in that case, unnecessary hopping will takes place, which will increase the latency. Okay, so this is again the drawback for the bufferless NOC for high network load utilization. So the third method is explained as a minimal buffer deflection router. So it gives a combination of both buffer and the bufferless NOC design. So it will use the small side buffer to store the deflected packets only. So whatever the deflected packets, that only save in the side buffers, which will reduce the area, and unnecessary whatever the we can say that the hopping, that also reduced in this case. Okay, so this is what the idea of minimally buffered router. So second one is the design of the scheduler. So scheduler, it will decide the data packet transfer. Basically it routes the data packets. So there are the three different type of the scheduler. One is the simple scheduler, which is called as a fixed priority. So for this fixed priority scheduler, the problem, severe starvation problem, is faced by the node which is having the lowest priority, and it is unpredictable latency will observed in that case. Another one is the round robin. So round robin scheduler, it is overcome the priority problem of a fixed priority. So it will assign highest priority to every node in rotation. So every node will assign the priority in cyclic order, and that's why we are able to calculate how much is the you can say that the latency is required, or how much is the waiting period for each node. Okay, so this is again starvation free, but still the latency is more. Then we come up with the third solution, which is the iSleep scheduler, and this provide the best solution. It is the combination of round robin scheduler along with the programmable priority encoder. So this will provide the minimum latency. So iSleep scheduler, it will find out that which source and the destination node is used in the data transfer, and it will provide the grant signal for that particular node. So instead of checking the priority of all the node, it directly skip the unwanted request, and it directly move to the node or source node and the destination node which is used in the data transfer.
Sorry to interrupt.
Hello.
Hello, sorry to interrupt you, but you have last 2 minutes for this.
Oh, sorry. I'll fast up this. So next one is the implementation techniques. So for this implementation techniques, earlier aspect was ASIC based. So ASIC based, it provides a hardwire interconnects, and complexity, if more number of the devices are there, the complexity will be more in that case. And also from the research, it is proven that wire delay is more than the gate delay. So that's why now the because of you can say the FPGA based circuit, which provides a reconfigurable interconnect, and it is having a more devices inbuilt on the chip, so that we can use for the implementation of the particular design. So FPGA based implementation technique, now it becomes a more popular for NOC architecture. So motivation of this research is that to obtain this area optimization for NOC router by using the minimally buffered deflection router, use of the iSleep scheduler for latency optimization, and to explore this NOC router design on FPGA. So this is the research methodology. We can say that for input block, MinVD routing algorithm is used, and for our circuit or for our architecture, we have used the single side buffer. Scheduler we have used is the iSleep, and we have used the XY routing deterministic algorithm for this. The mesh topology we have selected, and router is implemented on the FPGA. So design specification of our design is that it is a 5-port router, data packet traverser in the east, west, north, south, and the core direction. It uses mesh topology, XY routing. I have considered this data packet width is of 24-bit, out of which 16-bit is the data, 4-bit for the source address, and 4-bit for the destination address. I have implemented this design on the Xilinx ICE design suite, and simulator synthesis and the power analyzer is used. So this is what the you can say the 5-directional router is required, and this router is having, each block of the router is having this input block, iSleep scheduler, and the crossbar switch. First, for the input block, as it is a minimally buffered minimally buffered deflection router. We 3 cases we have considered for this input block. The first case is that if the destination is available, so directly we'll send the data to the destination, no need to buffer or no need to store the data into the buffer. In case of the contention, we'll check the condition, and if the grand signal is not 1, so in that case we'll save the data into the side buffer. So right now for the design, I have considered only 1 side buffer in each direction. So total 5 side buffers are used in the design. So if contention is there or output port is not available, we can send the data to the side buffer, and after certain time period we can again transfer this data into the main channel. Then iSleep scheduler, so it will assign the particular grand signal in that particular direction, because 5 directions are there for the data transfer. Out of that, it will select based on the XY routing algorithm, it will select that what is the direction for the data transfer, and it will select that particular direction instead of moving it to the as per the round robin algorithm. Then crossbar switch, once everything is clear, then crossbar iSleep scheduler, it will make this crossbar select is equal to 1, and we can transfer the data packet to the output port. So first single node NOC router is implemented. So you can see that data packet in north direction. So this FF is the data packet, and 7.3 is indicates that source node is 7 and 3 is the destination. So based on this 7.3, we are assuming that data is transferred into the north direction. So iSleep scheduler will assign the state of 2 in this case, and packet out from the north will get. Okay. So we perform this on the synthesis is done on the FPGA chip Spartan 3 we have used, and for this we observed that 1% utilization of the resources is required, 6% LUT, and whatever the power consumption is 0.57 watt, and operating frequency, maximum operating frequency is 118 megahertz. Then the same design we have transferred for 16 nodes. So this is the architecture of 16 node from node 0 to node 15. So 16 nodes are there. These 16 nodes are connected in the mesh topology. And for each node, this is what we can consider is that the implementation is required. Like each node is considered as an independent router with input block, iSleep scheduler, and the crossbar. All these are 16 nodes are combined in the top module, and we have created the architecture or instance of the 16 nodes. Okay, so here we have used the XY routing. I'll just explain the brief principle of XY routing. So first the data packet will transfer into the X direction. So whenever we got this column gets match, then we will
Time is almost over.
Okay.
So please conclude it.
Yeah, okay. So this is what the simulation result of the 4x4 NOC router. So for this, I'll explain the simulation result with this diagram. So we have transferred the data from 0 to F. So it will first transfer into the east direction till this node 3. After that, it will transfer into the north direction, to the south direction from 3 to F. Okay. And finally, it will transfer into the core. So total, it will require the 7 hops, and time period is around 470 nanosecond is required for this. Okay. So now we compare this result with 2 architecture. One is the SOTA, which is the ASICs based router, and another one is the Connect with the FPGA Connect as a FPGA based router. Both are both are implemented using using the buffer, and this whatever our circuit is without, or we can say that it is a single buffer is used in 5 directions. So just 5 buffers are used. This design is implemented on the Vertex 6 with 32-bit data. So our proposed design, it gives only 3% of the area requirement, and operating frequency it increase, it is about the 250 megahertz. So this is what the comparison result. So this is the summary. So performance efficient NOC router was the aim. Single node architecture is designed with the single side buffer and iSleep scheduler with programmable priority encoder. Input block with single side buffer memory gives optimized result for the area against traditional buffered router. It also reduces design complexity of the router. iSleep scheduler, it gives the fast scheduling and thus optimize the latency of the router. The same single node is implemented for 4x4 NOC router using mesh topology, and result in terms of area and operating frequencies are compared with the Connect and the SOTA based router. So conclusion is that we are able to optimize the area as well as the latency, and FPGA served as an excellent platform for NOC router implementation. And all the results of proposed router are good in agreement with other ASICs and FPGA based routers. So future scope is that we can go for fault tolerant NOC router, 3D NOC router, or we can go with the dynamic reconfigurable NOC router. So few references are mentioned here, and that's done from my side. Thank you.
Preeti, it was a very nice presentation, and your work also seems very nice. So
Yeah,
congratulations you for that.
Thank
I have
you.
some queries out of the like my curiosity. You mentioned that iSleep scheduler is starvation free.
Yes.
So how is starvation is overcome in iSleep scheduler? Can you explain?
Yes. Sir, in iSleep scheduler, so what happens is that it will identify that which source node and which destination node is used and in which direction you want to send the data. So in our design, we have considered that for each router, there are the 5 direction we can consider, like east, west, north, south, east. Out of this direction, using the XY routing, I find out that in which direction I want to send the data, and based on that iSleep scheduler, it will just allow the ground signal, or it will allow the particular state or active signal in that particular direction. So suppose if you go for the round robin, where you have decide that east is having highest, then west, then north and south. So what happens is that your unnecessary your data will move from that, and now if it wants to go for the north direction, so why to check for east, west and south? So directly you can say send it to the north, and that can be happen in the iSleep, because you can assign the programmable priority in the iSleep schedulers. So that is what we have decided, is that minimum buffer we have used along with the iSleep scheduler.
Okay, fine. And one more thing I observed in your slides, like in your literature review, you have you used some recent papers also, because after 2015 I don't see any paper.
Actually, I have used, sir. This was my PhD proposal and PhD topic. This is one of the objective of my PhD, and after that, 2 objective I have achieved, and for that I have used the latest paper. So for this specifically objective,
Can
it
you
is
show your references?
Yeah.
Because I think mostly you have mentioned your 2012 or 13 some papers for that main architecture of this NOC router.
Yes. That is from the this thing. 2002 is like what? Yeah.
This NOC router architecture which you mentioned, it was of 2012, 9-8 years back. So do you think?
No, actually the result was compared, it is from 2015. So here I have given that this result was published in the 2015, and that I have considered it for.
But I think
Yes,
if you go for some latest papers, you will get some more ideas to make your work improve.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sure.
Your PhD is completed or is still going on?
No, it's done, sir. It's done. After that, two objective was there for which, see, whatever right now I did, it is like latency is more for this case. So if I increase the size of the design, so definitely it will require the more number of the hops. So right now I'm required 8 hops to transfer the data. If I go with 64, definitely it will be more. So what I did is that I have implemented one modified XY routing algorithm. So for that, it gives only 2 hops for any source and destination node. So that is what my ultimate aim, and already it's achieved. 2 SCI papers are on that one, and I have done my PhD
Okay, good.
last
Great.
year. Yeah,
Wish you all the best.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Nila madam, now you can call the next one.
Yes, yes. Okay, now next we have Naveen to present his paper instead of his co-author, Ms. K. Sujata, and their paper is about a predictive model-based analytics to control drying process in sugar industry. Okay, Naveen, you can start now.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yes, Naveen, you can share your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Naveen, are you facing any issue?
Yes, I am unable to share it, sir. I have that document in my Microsoft Office, but I am unable to share it through my mobile.
You can do one thing, you can leave the meeting and you can rejoin the same. Meanwhile, we can take a next presentation, no worries.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Now we can go ahead with the next presentation of Payal Bose.
Yes, sir. I'm present.
Yeah, please, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Sir, my screen visible?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Payal Bose, research scholar at Lincoln University College, Malaysia. Today, I'm presenting my research paper titled Human Motion Detection and Recognition from Video Surveillance based on Machine Learning Approaches. These are the outlines of my presentation. Now, the introduction. In this modern era, detecting human and its motion through a video surveillance is really a quite challenging task, because using this, we can understand the behavior of the human. Now, again, there is a different external factors like lightning, low light conditions, low grade video quality, distance motion, occlusion, etc. Different types of external factors are present which affects the detection and the recognition system. So, in this study, I proposed a robust method which deals with this kind of situations. So therefore, the objectives of my study are first detecting human and tracking the human motion through a video surveillance system, and number two, recognize the identity of the detecting human and its tracking motion type. Next, the methodology. First, accept the input video file, then convert the input video file into its corresponding frames, and then extract the video background model from that frame. So what is the background model here? The background model is the very first or very last frame of the video input file where the no objects are present. In my study, I accept the very first frame. Now, if we subtract the frames and the background frame, then we get the detected person. And if this process is continue from frame 1 to frame n, then the motion of the person is detected. This is the whole detection process. Now, for the the recognition process, first we select the features from the input training video files, then create the two training data set, for one for person recognition and one for motion recognition. Then again we select the features from the tested input video file, and then use a classifier and the training database to classify the test data. These are the recognition process. Next, the description of the method. The first method I used here, the foreground detection method. To detect this foreground, the background subtraction technique is used. So for this is the equation. The foreground detection is equals to the video frame at a time t minus the background frame. The next method I used here, the dilation and the erosion operation. Both are the basic morphological operations. Dilation method used to add the pixel at the boundaries of the object in an image, and the erosion remove the pixel of the objects at the boundary. Now this number of pixel adding and removing from the objects in the image depends on the size and the shape of the image during the image processing. Next method I used here, the histogram orient gradient method. That this used to calculate the existence of the gradients and the orientation in an image in locally. First, it is used to resize the original image, then broke the entire image into small blocks, and second, it is calculate the vertical and horizontal gradients of each pixel blocks. Finally, it calculates the magnitude and the orientation of the gradients using these two equations, where the xy is the pixel coordinate and the gxy the intensity of the pixels. Next method I used here, the support vector machine. It used to calculate the maximum difference between the two classes. It is very useful for nonlinear data and very much effective for separate the non-separate data. This is the example. So here green one is the class 1 sample data and blue one is the class 2 sample data, and this blue dot line is the maximum separation between class 1 and the class 2, and the red one is the unknown data sample. Now this red line is the best fit line between these two data sample. Now next thing is this calculate the distance between sample 1 to this best fit line, which is expressed as d plus, and the distance between the sample 2 to red line is the best fit line is a d minus. Next it calculate the distance between the unknown data sample and this red line, which is expressed to d. Now if this nearly equals to d plus, then we conclude that the unknown sample is belongs to class 1, otherwise it's class 2. Next method I used here, the decision tree. It is a supervised learning method. Here the data split continuously according to a certain decision, which is mainly basically a true and false. This is true and false. Each branch node represent a choice between two alternatives. This is the two alternatives, and each leaf node represent a decision. This is the decision. Based on the true and false, this is the represent a choice between two alternatives, and this is the final decision. And finally, I use the method principal component analysis. This is used to reduce the dimensionality of a vector image while maintaining the information as much as possible. These green are the high dimensional data, and this red line is the principal component plane. Now according to this principal component analysis, this high dimensional data projected into this principal component plane to reduce this dimension. Next is the experimental details. For this experiment I use the Huisman action detection database. This database contains 9 person classes and 9 action classes. Software I used here, MATLAB 2020A. The method I used here for detection, subtraction technique with two morphological operators, dilation and the erosion, and for recognition, histogram oriented gradient feature selection method with support vector machine classifier technique. For performance analysis, the classification technique, support vector machine, and decision tree with and without principal component analysis I used here. So next is the experimental result. So this is the input video. This is the background frame and this is the background frame. After subtracting, this is the foreground frame, dilation and the erosion frame, and finally this is the detected person. And if this processes continue from frame 1 to frame n, then the motion is tracked. Final result after detection and recognition, this is the input image and this is the processing image. So this is the input and this is the output image, output video. So next is the experimental result for performance analysis. Table 1 shows the performance analysis of person recognition. Here the proposed method, support vector machine, gives the accuracy 94%. And the table 2 shows the performance analysis of motion recognition, but the support vector machine, the proposed method, gives the accuracy 94.44%. Table 3 shows the performance analysis of each classes of person recognition. This is the each person classes, P class 1 to P class 9. And table 4 shows the performance analysis of each classes of motion recognition. These are the 9 motion classes, and these are their individual recognition accuracy. Discussion. So this study has also some limitations. Number 1, each video files contains the same background. Number 2, each video contains only one person classes. And the number 3, each video defines only one motion class. So what is the significance of this study? That this experiment is very much helpful in crowd analysis, identifying the abnormalities of a person in a public places, identifying the person, their age, etc. Also helpful in different conditions like low light condition, low grade video quality, distance motion, etc. Actually, this is a real world scenario example. So it gives the much more opportunity and challenges. So in conclusion, this is actually a detection. In this study, I proposed a detection and recognition method which is used to track and recognize a person as well as their motion. And for this experiment, I use a background subtraction for detection, and for recognition, use a histogram oriented gradient feature selection technique, and for identifying the person and his motion, I use the multi-class support vector machine. And finally, a brief performance analysis was done to explain the performance of the two multi-class classifier, support vector machine and the decision tree, with and without the principal component analysis. Finally, this experiment also has some future scopes. Number 1, the input video contents with the complex and the different backgrounds. Number 2, if the input video contains with multiple persons. And number 3, here I only identify the person's identity. So my future work is to person identity as well as the predicted their gender and their age group also. So this is the these are all the references I used for this study, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Hello. Sir, I can hear you.
Sir, you are not audible.
Hello.
Rathore, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you are not audible actually, Rathore, sir.
Hello.
Ma'am, we can just go ahead with the next presentation. If there is any question from sir, we can skip after this presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes.
I'm stopping here. Huh?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Payal.
Okay. Okay.
Neelam, go ahead with the next presentation.
Yes, sir. Okay, as Naveen is back, hope you are ready to start your presentation, Naveen. Hello. Can we start with our another presenter? Okay. Now next presenter is Pramod V. Deshpande, and his paper is about solution approaches for breast cancer classification through medical imaging model using artificial intelligence. Pramod, are you there? I guess
Pramod is not here,
not here. Yes.
so we can go ahead with the next one now.
Okay, yes. Now next we have Vandana Chaudhary, and her presentation is about banana leaf disease recognition based on local binary pattern. Miss Vandana, you can start your presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay, ma'am. Thanks. It is visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Uh, Hello, good afternoon, all the dignitaries. Myself, Vandana Chaudhary from Srimati Jiji Khadse College, Muktanagar, India. Today, I am going to present my research on the topic banana leaf disease recognition based on local binary patterns. This is the outline of my presentation. So, India is an agriculture country, and agriculture plays an important role in country's economy. To get the maximum benefit and yield, it is important to produce the healthy production of plant. But climate changes affect on crop yield because due to climatic changes, various diseases are appear on the plant. So when the diseases appear on the plant, it reduces the crop yield. So when diseases found on the plant, at that time farmer take the decision according to its own experience, or he can take a decision of expert INEC opinion. But the traditional method used is costly and time consuming process. So there is a image processing techniques by using which various applications are developed to identify the plant diseases easily and quickly. So when we want to identify the disease automatically, generally the symptoms that appear on the plants are used to detect the disease, like the plant leaf color it changes, then some kind of a texture is appear on the plant, means some changes are appear on the plant leaf, fruits and stem also. Here in this proposed study, we have used the local binary pattern and GLCM texture feature with color feature to extract the feature of region of interest and do for the experimental studies. This is the literature reviews in which author use different feature extraction technique like local binary pattern and GLCM texture feature. Also the SVM classification technique and K nearest neighbor classification techniques are used for classification purpose. My proposed architecture here, two phases are used, training phase and testing phase. Each phase contains 5 steps. Sorry. First is image acquisition, image pre-processing, image segmentation, feature extraction, and finally the model is trained by using the SVM and KNN model, and that trained model is used to test the image to detect the disease appear on the plant. The proposed methodology is itemized here. In our first step, we created the data set of banana leaf images by capturing the banana leaf images from various agriculture farms and then clustered the image according to the category of disease. And then we transform the color space of image from RGB to LAB color space, and then the region of interest is found by using K clustering method, and then they recognize the disease area from the cluster, and that cluster is used to extract the feature by using color, local binary pattern and GLCM texture feature. And finally, the model is trained by using KNN and SVM model for classification, and the test set is categorized by using that train KNN and SVM model. In first image acquisition and pre-processing, we capture the various banana leaf disease images from various agriculture farm, including 4 kinds of images like yellow sigatoka, bunchy top, cucumber mosaic virus, and some healthy images are used for the experimental purpose. During the pre-processing, we first resize the image into a uniform size and transform the color, color transformation is performed. And first the RGB images are transformed into LAB color space for the experimental work. The main part of disease recognition is to extract the region of interest, and in the process of image segmentation, we separate an image into a multiple region, and a region of interest is find out by using the K clustering method, and that region is used for the next process. The features are extracted as color features are extracted, then GLCM texture features are extracted, and the local binary pattern features are extracted by using this LBP operator. It shows the grayscale image and LBP image of 4 different kinds of diseases which are considered in this paper, like yellow sigatoka, bunchy top, CMV, and healthy images. This is a histogram representation of the 4 diseases. And finally, the classification is performed by using the simplest and easily implemented technique like KNN and a widely used supervised learning technique as support vector machine. In this proposed system, we use the support vector machine and K nearest neighbor method to categorize the disease. And the multi-class pattern of SVM is used for the detection of diseases. And discussion on the result, we have created a data set containing 3,662 sample images with 4 kind of diseases: yellow sigatoka, bunchy top, CMV, and healthy images. During the experiment, we used 10 folding method to train and test, and local binary pattern and GLCM and color features are extracted, and SVM and KNN classifier used for classification purpose. This table shows the accuracy measure by using the accuracy, precision, and recall by considering the SVM classifier and KNN measure. When we classify the 4 diseases, then SVM classifier give more accurate result when used with the local binary pattern. But the KNN gives more result as compared to LBP in GLCM. Means when we are using the GLCM with KNN, it gives more result. And the accuracy of the result of LBP is more as compared to GLCM feature using SVM, and GLCM gives more accuracy by KNN algorithm, and it seems that SVM gives inaccurate result in overlapping classes. The gray intensity of the image display in the LBP histogram, it looks similar of healthy and bunchy top images. So some of the bunchy top images are categorized into healthy image and healthy into bunchy top images. This is the graphical representation of accuracy measure is shown in this figure, like precision measure and recall measure of 4 diseases. This is the accuracy measure. It is a graphical representation which shows the different accuracy by using the LBP feature extraction and GLCM feature extraction methods. And finally, the conclusion. In the proposed work, the local binary pattern method for feature extraction for recognition of banana plant diseases, the proposed work compare the performance of LBP and GLCM technique. It seems that using only texture feature, it is not possible to recognize the disease. So color feature are used with texture feature to increase the accuracy of the system. And according to the experimental result, the LBP method gives the good classification accuracy when classified by SVM classifier, and GLCM method gives good accuracy when classified with the KNN classifier. Some references, and thank you. These are some references that I have used. Thank you. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me, like what type of literature review you have done So, what was the best paper for your research? Any best paper you want to discuss?
Sorry, sir, I'm not get audible.
Can you tell? Okay, am I not audible?
Actually, voice cut sometimes.
Okay. Can you tell me about one of any of your best paper, which became motivation for your research?
Yeah. The paper of Surya Prabha.
Okay.
In that, they actually use different techniques for feature extraction.
Okay.
And by referencing that, I am using the techniques on the diseases, on different diseases.
So have you improved something over those techniques, or what you have done?
No, sir. Actually, they are using different diseases, and I am using different diseases, and also I'm using LBP texture feature to extract the feature, and they are using HOG features to extract.
Okay.
And here I am using the GLCM and LBP with the color feature, because if we are not using color, then it is not possible to correctly recognize the disease. That's why we combine it with the color feature.
Okay, fine. All the best.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I stop?
Yes. Okay, now next we have Harshit Gupta. Harshit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can start now.
Okay, ma'am. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hello, ma'am. My name is Harshit Gupta. I am a BTech final year student from Meerut Institute of Engineering and Technology. From my team and me, we really thank you for giving us an opportunity to present ourselves in this esteemed conference. Our topic is Gatekeeper Security Check System using BGC. Okay. So these are the few points that we are going to discuss in the following time. So the main motive, the main purpose of this research is that inside an organization, the accumulation of data is getting heavier, and the physical security doesn't need to rely just on security guards, because there are so many recent activities that have suggested that data theft and destruction has resulted in losses to many companies. So, hello. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to automate, we are trying to digitize the security, the physical security of an organization by this system. In this system, we have developed a software that could process the video of a gate where the entrance is there, and we process that video, and based on that we recognize whether the following person is affiliated to that organization or not, and also we detect whether those persons are wearing an ID card or not. So this is based on an object detection model, and uh, it can surely digitize the way of checking a person entering an organization. So before we go jump through our research, we can see what are the existing approaches for this one. So there is a biometric systems, there's barcode scanning. The barcode can be anywhere inside the ID card or something. and there are traditional face detection systems, obviously. So in the existing applications, there were some disadvantages that led us here, that we developed this system. So for the biometric system, it has disadvantages like it can spread potential communicable diseases, because we have to just enter the thumbprint to some device, and we know how communicable diseases can be. We are facing the COVID period. Second system is the barcode. In the barcode system, there's a disadvantage that it needs to be scanned. In the times of rush hours, we cannot just ask each person when there's a heavy rush to scan their barcodes, and also there is a chance of errors from the security guard side. So that's the issue. In traditional face detection systems, there's issue that it is not that accurate, given the light, given the everything, and it is actually not enough that we just install the face detection system and it would be it. So we looked through the all possible solutions, and we came through that we should develop a certain application that could actually digitize or at least update the current surveillance systems for an organization. So in our architecture, there are three main elements. That is the database and the data repository. The database contains the data for all our affiliated persons, the registered persons, and the data repository stores actually the models on which the prediction is done. The user interface is simple. There's a video running, and on the real time it processes the data coming through the video frames. Actually, the video frames are converted into images, and based on those images, the the face recognition model and the ID card detection engine, these both work, and together they propose whether the following person is affiliated to an organization or not, or whether the iCard is being worn or not. Okay, so this is our schema of our database. It is pretty self-explanatory. We just ask a person to register. The database is based on NoSQL database, because in real-time image processing, the latency can be an issue, and NoSQL database such as MongoDB gives us the single-digit millisecond latency that really helps for the cause. So we gave pretty much the simple information in the database. That would be the person ID that is unique for each person, name and department, and the location where the model is stored. So data repository and database are the dump of the all the data which is there. Also, there are training images and everything. In the user interface, there is a interface that runs video surveillance on the real time, and on the back end, it just propagates the video frames to our facial recognition and object detection engines, and based on that, it filters out the people that are coming to an organization. Also, there is a device attached to a video surveillance cameras that can be activated when a non-affiliated person tries to enter the organization. So in the face recognition system and the ID card recognition system, we have used convolutional neural network for facial detection and ID card detection systems. This is our whole architecture. There's one part that is that we give is that a new person can register himself to an organization that could be administered by some affiliated person, and based on that, that model can be updated very easily. And for the processing part, the video surveillance cameras propagates real-time images to the facial recognition engine and the ID card detection engine, and based on the prediction model that is based on VGG16 and Adams optimization algorithm, it just authorizes the persons entering an organization. So for facial recognition algorithm, there are 4 steps. The face detection. What happens in this is that in the video frame, it is recognized in this phase. It is recognized where the face exactly is. In the second step, the face alignment, we just see whether the face is properly aligned or not. Like the eyes are aligned horizontally or not, and based on that, the alignment of image frame is done. And then the feature extraction. The feature extraction is done. Based on that, the prediction is done. The face recognition algorithm is based on FaceNet in Keras, and it is used to develop face recognition system. In the ID card recognition, we did most of our job because this is a new one. It is an object detection model. In this, there is simple steps. There is construction in which we just populate the data sets and the images for our cause. In the training, we developed the algorithm using the VGG pre-trained models and the Adams optimization algorithm in a convolutional neural network to develop our ID card detection system. And the post phases are testing and evaluation. So what came out as a result is that we tried several methods before coming to the conclusion. So before coming to the conclusion, we tried many steps, many types of model. We tried developing a model from scratch using Aptum optimization algorithm, and it gave us 20% accuracy. By ResNet 50, we tried, it gave 85.69. And what VG16 gave was the best accuracy. VGG16 is a convolutional neural network architecture. It is a object recognition model that has support for up to 19 layers. And what came out was it was pretty close between the ResNet and VGG16, but the later results were proved that the VGG16 was the best for the object detection in the case of the ID card detection. So here are the some data points and some tests we ran, and it is a top 3 results that we have shown here. This is the SGD plus ResNet 50. SGD is a default optimizer for Python Keras library, and ResNet 50 is a convolutional neural network model. That is a deep learning model that was earlier tested for object detection model. So what came out as an accuracy for this one was 72%. Later we tested on some other
Harshit,
techniques.
sorry to interrupt. You have exceeded the time.
Okay, I will just wrap it up. I will just wrap it up quickly. So the conclusion was that to update the current security surveillance systems, apart from the just video surveillance, what we can do is embed special systems like these ones to update the security of an organization and take the load off from the security guards. In this way, we can ensure organization's safety, and this would surely result in better outcomes in the range of physical security of an organization. Here are some references. We really thank these ones that are present. These help us a lot, and I guess that's it. Thank you.
Oh, very nice, sir. Can you hear me? Am I
Hello?
audible? Am I
Yes, sir,
audible?
you are audible.
Okay, okay. The paper was good, and because of the we are running out of the time, so we will not ask specific questions. So,
Yeah.
paper was nice. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, Naveen, are you ready or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. Hey. Ma'am, is it visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Our project is predictive model-based analytics to control drying process in sugar industry. The project was done by Dr. K. Sujata, Professor, Department of EEE, and presented by Naveen. Presentation overview. It consists of abstract block diagram, MATLAB environment, results and discussion, simulation output, output curve comparison chart, conclusion. Abstract. Supply of dry air is important to use in industries. Dynamic modeling of the dryer is of great importance because by controlling input power, the output temperature of the dry air can be varied. Simulation studies are carried out, compare the drying process output with conventional PA feedback from control and the novel based predictive control. The proposed control algorithm is of advanced type and is used to control the temperature of drying process by varying the input power. The drying process has a ramp-shaped output, which denotes that the MPC approach is beneficial as compared with the conventional methods. MPC block diagram for dryer used in sugar industries. It is very significant to create an accurate mathematical model for predicting the input power and output temperature of a drying process for a sugar manufacturing industry. Let us see the block diagram. It consists of a inverse proposed model, the next parameter optimization, then it goes to drying process and process model, and finally it's connected to a single parameter. The feedback is given to parameter estimation and correction. Block diagram for plant model of sugar processing industry. Two configurations are said to be exist for the supervisory control of industrial applications. Predictive control is used along with these structures for effective monitoring and control. System identification in MATLAB environment. To implement the dryer with MPC in MATLAB environment, type loader dryer2 in the command window. The variables U2 and Y2 corresponds to input power supplied and the output temperature that is to be loaded into the MATLAB workspace. Results and discussion. Periodogram of signal from the drying process is defined as an estimate of spectral. The characteristics of input and output signals from the dryer is a sugar processing industry is used to examine thoroughly the characteristics of input-output signals with a non-zero time instance by padding the zeros, which tend to form a filter bank. The plot obtained for the periodogram from the input and output signals U1 and Y1 are illustrated in the figure. The pink colored line denotes the reference of periodogram. The blue colored curve denotes the actual graph from the periodogram for the voltage and temperature variables in a drying process. Let us see the simulation output for periodogram voltages and temperature of drying process. Here the U1 chart and Y1 chart are given in the periodogram. Response for the output temperature is given in this graph. Output curve of the drying process. The output curve of the drying process denotes that it is response whose value is 1 for time period greater than or equal to 0. The three curves correspond to reference, actual, and desired output temperature required for drying process. The power spectrum is plotted between the frequency and the amplitude. Power distribution of a signal is separated into its frequency modules. Distribution of power in a signal with respect to its frequency values gives the time series output. The spectrum of frequencies can be divided into a number of discrete components or contiguous range. The spectral energy distribution gives the total energy per unit time and is infinite. We compare the results obtained from the proposed method with the results of segmentation algorithms. Comparison chart. Table comparison chart for standard deviation and mean calculation for the cut method. Let us see the three algorithms, and next to that the mean for proposed work and standard deviation for proposed work are given in the table. This table shows that the standard deviation and mean of the layers are more accurate for proposed method by 12 micron and time taken by proposed method is 59 seconds, while the graph cut method achieved the layer segmentation in 72 seconds. Conclusion. The proposed method opts a new technique to identify the flaws during the fabrication of sheets from the images captured by the infrared camera. With the help of RNN online monitoring is possible by the method of real-time segmentation process. In future, this method can also be used to obtain a more accuracy in identification of other flaws created during fabrication of steel sheets. Thank you. That's it, ma'am. Ma'am?
Okay, so nice. We can go ahead for the next presentation.
Ma'am? Sir?
Sir. Okay, sir, so no question for, okay. All our presentations are done. All our presentations are done, sir.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, so
I would like
as
to
our
congratulate
presentations.
all of the participants who have presented the papers, and I wish them all the good luck for all their research endeavors and whatever they are doing. I wish you all the best. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, thank you, Neelam. You had go ahead with the closing remarks.
Yes, sure. As our presentations are done, I sincerely thank our all authors for their excellent presentation and contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative and knowledgeable as well. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. So further all the papers have already forwarded to the Springer, and the publication will be live within 4 to 6 months. So kindly cooperate with the team of SmartCom 2021 and as and when intimated. I also thank our session chair, Dr. Vijay Singh Rathore, for chairing the session. Thank you, sir. A token of appreciation to the chair on behalf of Team SmartCom 2021 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation. Thank you for your valuable presence, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I request you all to turn on your camera for a quick snapshot of the virtual conference.
Thank you. Thanks a lot to
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Thank you, Rathore sir, for your valuable time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you.
much. See you soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
We can
sir.
open this session for next 1 minute. If you have any particular query or concern, you can write it down into the chat box. Thank you.